Hello everyone, you're watching Community Impact. I'm Reena Agustine, the founder of Red Carpet Functions. We bring you all these amazing interviews to introduce you to the amazing people that are making a difference here in Queensland, Australia. My today's guest is Caroline Russo. She is known as a media personality who loves entertainment and film industry. Caroline has nearly marked up 30 years in PR and events world. She actually rocks the events industry and the film industry, I should say. Everybody in Brisbane knows her. She has overseen and worked in all sorts of events that have been big to small and has given a lot to the community over so many years. 7 years ago, she started a brand called Hush Hush Biz Entertainment, which was born to help the event side as well as to help promote other platforms. Hello, Caroline.
Hello.
You are amazing.
Oh, thank you. But
I have seen you in so many events. You promoting so many, cinemas, the films that come here, and trying to protect this industry so much. What is your passion? How did you come up with this?
Oh my God. Well, it all was accumulated, over, my years of, and probably my journey of, coming into the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. But basically, it was the theatre world that it all started for me. Mm-hmm. Back in the 70s.
70s? You acted in the theatre? No.
I had one part. My very first play was Macbeth. And I knew nothing really about Shakespeare or theatre or anything, but it was all by accident how I fell into it, and I fell in love with it from the minute I, walked in. And I said, I want to do everything. And basically I did a lot of behind the scenes. I was I was a secretary. I used to learn about the lighting. I used to learn about, how to, just operate, different areas of, the theatre world. And of course, I had a stand-in part. I didn't have any words. It was good. I'm shocking
good.
with lines. but
you wanted to be an actress.
I did when I was a little girl. Because I was born the year of the TV, and so I used to watch all the shows. It was like, the Australian dramas to the TV shows. Back then it was Graham Kennedy and Bert Newton, and they were just amazing. And then you'd have obviously all the Hollywood shows that were just incredible. And you wanted to be. And as I kept growing, I just imagined I'd be, an actress when I grew up. But, it didn't happen. I got more,
You did more than that. You are now a producer.
Well, yeah. I've stepped into the world of a producer, and, look, there are different formats of producers, in the industry of film. I've got credits as a executive producer, mm-hmm.
Which
those producer credits are usually the people that bring the money. So that's the hardest part of,
yes.
actually the film industry. It's like always show me the money.
Yeah, you have the money.
Yeah, it ain't going to work with it.
You definitely need it.
And like in every, aspect in, entertainment, you beg, borrow and steal. And but I was very fortunate, with working with, very good colleagues, mm-hmm. and also very trusting colleagues, where, you've got to have that aspect because, otherwise this industry can burn you as well.
That's one thing which I mentioned that I would like to ask you, because it's a very hard industry. It's very tough over here, right? So how did you overcome it? If you faced it, how did you overcome it? Apart from having trusting people around you.
Well, I don't know yet. Overcome it, it's not about overcoming it. I think it's still surviving in the industry. Mm-hmm. It's how to survive. You're forever learning. and the only factor that was my, saviour is that I built, obviously a film and TV platform over, 10 years ago on the Gold Coast, and it was through that platform I was able to build the relationships, and and with relationships there are some that will obviously die because they're the ones that you find out that are really not going anywhere, or they'll they're on the blacklist.
Yeah.
Because there is a blacklist, and as I got to know the industry, and I had I was very fortunate. I had good advisors.
Yeah.
And advisors, having people that have been in it, obviously, a lot longer than I have, which I've got that relationship still with, a good handful of people who are my point of call all the time when I need something checked. So basically, it's a matter of, getting to know your people all the time, and keep building and building, your relationships, because it's forever changing.
Absolutely. This industry.
Is...
You were with HOTA, so tell us about that.
The Arts Centre, the Gold Coast Arts Centre was now HOTA, which I had a very long association with the Arts Centre, over my years, prior to me getting into the film industry, because, I used to be assistant to the manager of the Gold Coast ambassadors, and many years, and then obviously all the name changes came, which is now HOTA, but yeah, my association with the fact that I was able to work with starting the film and TV platform there was a great way. In the basement, and the basement used to be very much, I don't know if it still is, but the place for comedy.
Oh, wow.
It only holds usually about 100 people, and it's got a little stage, and it's got all the stage and lights and everything that you need, and nice bar, and it's cozy, and it's So for years I held my events there, and and I staged and showcased and platformed some of the biggest people in the business too, because I had associations with New York Academy, and and other reputable sort of film schools, and casting directors, and that used to come to me, and we used to headline these speakers, and the wealth of information that used to go out on those nights to the independents, and also the business that used to be made in these nights were incredible. My proudest moment of, especially in the earlier days of basement days, was a producer, a very good producer, used to work for Disney. She had come to me and said, "Do you mind if I have the platform? For 5 minutes, I've got a project. It's a music video that I'm trying to sort of get some money on." And I said, "Sure." I said, "I'll introduce you." I said, and therefore she, spooked about her project and everything. And she, and what I used to do is invite certain investors. No one knew they were in the room. And that particular night, there was, the wife of a filmmaker, and I sort of went on the stage and I said, "Right, everybody, we need to help Shirley, and let's do it. So dig in." And as I'd finished that sentence, this woman in the front row said, I'll give her the whole $8,000. So we raised $8,000 in 5 minutes.
You get opportunities. So that's what you do. You create opportunities for talents.
Well, I created opportunity, to raise money, finance, for projects, for producers, and
then you transition to the Star Casino?
well, that we did because literally I was starting to outgrow the Arts Centre. There was a couple nights there that we ended up in the bigger room, which, actually 200 people comfortably. And we used to have really big shows there. So when it had the biggest stage, and which, I'd have dancers, I'd have, amazing dance outfits, and openings, and, we'd have singers and all this. So I'd throw in a whole real mix of things. And, and therefore we would, theme it to particularly who I would select to, obviously have as the speakers of that night. And, and truly it did filter what I was doing. So people from Sydney used to come, they used to come from Toowoomba, they used to come from everywhere, So it was very good. But one night I had particularly the GM, who was American, that I invited one night, and his wife was an actress. And he came along one night, and I had, it must have been David Gould, again, an amazing filmmaker. He's from New Zealand. He works with, big stuff. He worked with Superman and The Hobbits and all that. So, and he was able to really explain the modelling of producing as well. So, again, they were getting masterclasses, in my events, and again the networking was great afterwards.
Yeah, that's the best part, isn't
it?
It's
great. I don't even know how much business was happening, but everyone was happy, and but the GM sort of said, "I love what you're doing." He said, "Let me take you to lunch the next tomorrow," and which I did, and. He said, "Come over to to Jupiter's." Then it was in the Star, and he said, "Come and have a look, and let's see if you like something over our place." And of course, I knew exactly what I wanted.
And you said yes.
And I said, I want the room downstairs where it used to be like where all the major people who with the rich set to gamble, and that was the room, and so he said, "It's yours."
Wow.
And, after checking dates and everything, because there's a real procedure there, and luckily I knew the communications media manager who, assisted me really well. That was Rebecca, and I said to her, "I will make this spectacular." So that event turned out to be standing room only. There was over 300 people on a Monday night.
Monday night?
Yeah.
You created your magic.
Yeah.
Wow, which you're still doing.
It's great.
Wow.
It was really good.
You're working on something right now. So would you like to tell us about what exactly you're working on?
Well, I'm actually developing my documentary. And this is a very personal project for me, which has to do with my family. So my parents are Italian, and they come from an island called Stromboli. And Stromboli, also had a film made in the 50s. No, the 40s, sorry, the 40s,
okay.
Which was released in the 50s. So 1949, Roberto Rossellini, who was, in Italy very known for his work, and Ingrid Bergman, who was, Hollywood sensation, already got an Oscar, and, she was from Sweden, was attracted to his work, and she was really wanting something of a European flavour. So she wrote to him, and they ended up, he ended up making sure that he could write something for her suitable to make a film, and he found Stromboli. And of course, with that film, my mother obviously was in that film as an extra. She was an extra, and she had, lots of different parts over the time. My grandfather on my dad's side had a speaking part with Ingrid Bergman, and then my other grandfather was her personal butler, her security, so he used to, always make sure she had everything, she needed. And, we're talking an island that didn't have power, in those days, water, you had to get all these things. It was, it's a very primitive island. So, when it was time to shower, he used to be outside sort of, doing the ropes so that she was getting the water and all that sort of thing. So there's little gems that I have found out, from my mother particularly, and Stromboli to me, is an island that I just love. I've obviously been there, but it was in the 80s, and I've been trying to actually, I was supposed to go this year, but COVID stopped to do filming. And it was only that Ingrid Bergman made her own personal recordings over her life and letters. She kept everything. And there was a documentary film that was made in her own words, which had, all her, children together in, talking about her story when they've all come into it. And Stromboli was in, very much the feature of that film. And, and in that particular scene, my grandfather's in that film, and that sparked me. And I thought, I've got to actually do this. And, just recently, in the last few months, in the last couple of months, I've had the pleasure to speak to her daughter, Isabella Rossellini, in New York. And, and I did an interview with her.
That is amazing.
So, and I told her the story of my family knowing her family, and she was fascinated.
That's such a small world, and how the stories come out. So you're doing a documentary on it.
Yes, we have. And look, and just recently, this only just has come into my hands in the last month, but they've the photographer Federici Patolini just released all the photos, this year. And
after 1950.
Yeah, they've just, and there's 90 pages of behind the scenes of, and I just got this book about a month ago, and here, and even just in this particular, I can see my grandfather there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That just gives you goosebumps, Caroline.
I know. It's wonderful.
It is amazing.
So this is going to be wonderful to put into the documentary. But it's also, it's a story about, immigration. It's about the people of the island leaving. So it's a collection of love stories that I'm actually trying to compile together, because, my father left when he was 11, and my mother left when she was 21, and they met in Melbourne for the first time. They were married 3 months later. So, and there's other rich stories of particularly Melbourne, because there's the Aeolian Club, and obviously Stromboli is part of the, one of the islands of the Aeolians. There's 7 islands so across the Mediterranean there, and then they're all absolutely unique, beautiful islands. So there is a club in Melbourne that is 95 years old this year.
95?
Yes. And, and therefore we're going to feature, obviously the Aeolian Club, because they were responsible for, sponsoring a lot of people. Over their time.
So when can we get to see this?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
Travel. I've been limited with travel this year.
Has this affected the cinema? The cinema world is bleeding, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Oh, I don't know. I'm actually trying my hardest at the moment. Just
Are
in
people going to the
my-
cinemas?
No, they're not. They're not. It is bleeding. You know, this is where the distribution of, you know, they won't release the films to distributors. You know, they're all going now to streaming, and now Warner Brothers has, you know, just made an announcement this week that, you know, all the factors will be, you know, going straight to HBO. I've had conversations with, you know, 3 cinema outlets, you know, in the last month, and they're very, very worried.
Yeah.
You know, very worried, you know, of their future. The only thing that's keeping them glued together is, you know, the fact that the government job keeper.
Yeah.
But you know, when March hits, that'll disappear, and we don't know what's going to happen. Whether, you know, if it depends on how, you know, the major releases. For instance, the Bond film, it's been sort of cancelled now twice. They won't do the James Bond film until they have got the correct okay with the UK market.
Yeah.
You know, and with COVID, you know, and everything's shut down, it's too risky.
It's too risky, and we all can hope for the best, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
tell everybody just to, you know, go. But it's hard with home entertainment now.
If you're listening, please go and support the local cinemas. That's how we can help each and everybody.
Yeah, go.
Wow. Yeah.
Just go and see a film and enjoy a cinema experience.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Caroline, this industry, the entertainment industry, is not an easy one. You have been there for 30 years. If there's one thing that you would like to tell the youngsters who are interested in this industry, what would that be?
Okay. First up, you know, you've got to realise you're walking into the, you know, the toughest industry of all. It's not all glitter and glamour. You know, if you want to be an actor, actress, you got to get yourself, you know, really trained up, and, you know, and therefore you need an agent, and you've got to know that you've got to work hard for it. And very much know that, be ready for rejection as well, because the entertainment industry is.
Wow. As you have heard, you fall, but you get up and get back and follow your passion. Caroline, if we have to find you on social media, where can we go?
Oh, well, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Caroline Russo,
LinkedIn.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, your website.
My website, hushhushbiz.
.com.au?
Yeah.
Hushhushbiz.com.au?
No, just .com. .com.
All right, it's .com. Hushhushbiz.com. Caroline Russo. Right? Fantastic, Caroline. Pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for sharing your views. So, ladies and gentlemen, as they say, this industry is really tough. But if you fall, you get up. You follow your passion. That's what we have heard from Caroline Russo. If you want to find her and follow what exactly she does, go to hushhushbiz.com and you will find Caroline there. Caroline, thank you so much for joining us today. Really pleasure to have you, and thank you for sharing your story. Thank you.
Thank you.
My today's guest knew that she wanted to be a designer. Welcome our guest, Rita.
Thank you very much.
How long have you been running that for?
Yes, correct. I just opened the business 6 years ago.